Hi everyone, this is Samantha from the Dancing Soap Dish. I'm really excited about today's project. These are basic Mosaic melt and pour soap bars. So this is a beginner's project for those of you who want to learn how to make Mosaic soap. It's also the first project in our 2023 Mosaic Soap Challenge. Yes, we're challenging ourselves this year to come up with a new and unique Mosaic soap design every month for the entire year. So this is January's project. There are 4 round bars, 2 with floral designs and 2 with geometric shape designs. There's information as per usual on the Dancing Soap Dish website, and there's also information about where you can buy supplies in the description of this video. So let's get started. So the key to making Mosaic soap is this Mosaic tile mold. This is actually a resin mold. Today I'm going to use it to make soap in these geometric shapes here. I will make the soap tiles and then I'll put them on top of a soap base. So I'm going to make base bars out of this round silicone mold here. So the first thing I need to do is to weigh out some soap. I am going to be using white soap base that I have here. I'm weighing out 11.5 ounces, which is around 320 grams. And I'm going to use this for my soap bases, and also I'm going to add some clear soap to make my Mosaic tiles as well. So what I'll do is I'll put this in the microwave to partially melt, and then I'll come and keep melting it on a double boiler I've got sitting next to me. I'm also using this glass measuring cup today, one that baristas use for their milk. You can pour left or right because it's got the double pouring spout. It's really handy for soap making. I'm going to put my clear soap base in here that I'm going to use to make my Mosaic tiles. I'm putting 2.5 ounce, which is around 70 grams. And again, I'm going to put that in the microwave and then on the double boiler. So while that's melting, I'm just getting set up. I've got a tray with a piece of greaseproof paper that I'm putting my mold on top of. I'm putting that on top of a set of scales because I'm going to weigh out even bars of soap, and I'm just moving that to the side of my tray because I'll need to put my Mosaic tile mold next to that in a minute. I'm wearing a rubber glove because the jug's hot because it's sitting on the double boiler. I've got isopropyl alcohol here that I'm getting ready. I've also got this little rubber scraper which will come in handy when I'm doing my Mosaic tiles. And I'm just scenting my soap now, just with an essential oil that I like. There we go, give that a good stir. And I'm going to pour 4 70 gram or 2.5 ounce bars to be the base for my Mosaic soap. There we go. Don't forget, once you've poured your bars, to give them a good spray with alcohol to get rid of any of the surface bubbles. That's what I'm going to do now. And I'm ready to just let those bars set so I can use them later. Okay, now I've also put my tile mold down. I've got my clear soap. I'm putting about 15 grams into a paper cup. It's okay if I go over. And then I'm also going to add about 5 grams of the white soap base, leftover white soap base that I've still got sitting on my double boiler. Just because I want nice bright colors, but I also want opaque soap. So I'm just adding a tiny bit of white to the clear so that the soap is opaque, but that the soap coloring is really bright. So I'll just give that a stir. There we go. I'm going to add some royal blue soap coloring to this. Just 1 or 2 drops should be all you need. And I will give that a good stir. Wow, yeah, that's coming out really nice. That's a really dark royal blue, which is what I was hoping for. There you go. Just going to spray it because there's quite a lot of bubbles in it because I was stirring a bit too vigorously. Okay, with the alcohol in one hand and the paper cup in the other hand, I'm just going to squeeze it to make a spout and pour it into the hexagon part of the mold. I'm just sort of concentrating on the middle. I don't really need the partial tiles at the side, and I also don't want it oozing into the other shapes around it. So I'm just going to be very careful, keep spraying. Got quite a lot of soap here. There we go. And I will use my scraper which is really handy for just moving the soap around to make sure that each little hexagon cavity has the same amount of soap in it. They're all filled right to the top. I'll just wipe that off on a paper towel to use that next time. Okay, so that's one colour done. Now I just grab another paper cup and I can start the next colour. So I'm also going to make some green square tiles, which I'm filling here. I'm going to make some light blue circle tiles. Again, I don't need the half ones around the side, that's plenty, and some yellow triangle tiles. There we go, and that's my mosaic tiles done. The excess white soap I'm actually pouring into this paper cup here. I want to use that later for my soap grout. So I'm just going to keep that. I'll let that set in the cup. So it's an hour later. My mosaic tiles have set. My base soap bars are still a little bit soft, but that's fine. I'm just going to ease out the mosaic tiles by bending and flexing the mold. A lot of them might come out stuck together. That's okay. You can just pull them apart with your fingers, and if you want to give them a tidy up, or the soap fray around the edges, you can chop that off with a sharp knife or cut it off with a pair of scissors. That works too. You can see it's quite easy to extract them from the mold. Here they are. I've cleaned them all up and I've separated them, and it's time to start assembling my designs on top of the base bars. Doesn't matter if the base bars are still a bit soft. I'm going to use these plastic tweezers to help me out. I'm also going to use a breadboard and a sharp knife with a straight edge, not a serrated edge. I find a bamboo skewer comes in very handy just to help position the tiles. And I'm just checking before I start. Every tile I need to check for the good side. So there's a sort of an ugly side and a good side which is face down in the mold, and that's the side I want to be face up for my tiles. So I'm going to assemble one of my flower designs here. This is a yellow tulip. If I want to cut some tiles, I can do it with the knife that I've got just to make my tulip shape. I'm going to take my green square tiles and cut them to make a stem and also leaf shape. They don't have to be perfect. Also doing a blue flower with a light blue circle center. And again, I'm just cutting some leaf shapes out of my green square tiles to make this one. Now for my two geometric designs, I'm just assembling in just a varied pattern, really, using some hexagons. In this one, I'm using my squares. I'm going to create like a little star shape pattern in the center, and then I'm just placing my other shapes around it in a pretty geometric pattern. So there we go. For the flowers, I'm also going to give them a border. So for the yellow tulip, I'm going to take these dark blue hexagons, I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to use those halves to go all the way around the edge of the soap to create a border. I think that'll look pretty nice. I've just got the straight edge sort of facing outwards and the hexagon shape on the inside. As you can see, the skewer's coming in really handy just to position these tiles and to get the spacing right in the border. And lastly, the blue flower is going to have light blue semicircles for its border. So I'm just cutting all these circles in half here. And again, placing them with a straight edge facing out to make a cute little bumpy border. Just a few more to go and I'll be finished. There we are. Okay, so spend some time making sure that every tile is perfectly placed, because it will make a difference. There they are. There's all my beautiful designs. The next step now is to melt some more soap to create some soap grout. So we're going to pour some soap around the tiles to set them in place. So to do that, I'm going to need my little glass measuring cup again. Very important because it can help you pour really accurately. I've also got my skewer on hand again, and isopropyl alcohol, which is absolutely necessary to help the soap flow into all these little nooks and crannies here. This time I'm using these cotton swabs or cotton buds, and I've also got a little cup here which I'm pouring some alcohol into. I'm just going to soak these buds and have them ready to go to clean up any drips or overpours on the tiles as I'm working. I find that's the easiest way to do it. So it's time to measure out some soap for the grout. I'm using this excess soap that I had left over from when I did my tiles and my base bars. Just going to tear it out of the paper cup and it should come out nice and easy. Yep, look, just popping that out there. I've just got a bar. Pretty easy. I'll just slice that up. So again, I'm weighing another 2.5 ounce or about 70 grams. It's probably a little bit more than I need, but it's better to have too much than too little. I'm putting that in the microwave and on the double boiler again. So here it is, it's ready to go. I'm wearing my rubber glove because the handle is hot. And with the alcohol in one hand and the soap in another, I'm just going to pour very carefully around all the soap tiles. And you can see how fine this little stream of soap is coming from this measuring cup, which makes it really easy to get into these really tiny spaces, which is what I need to do to fill it up. I'm just spraying as I go. You probably can't see it on the camera, but it just helps the soap to move into the little gaps in between. I am also just going to make sure I get around the edge, which sometimes you can't avoid just pouring it over the tiles in order to do that. But there we go. Okay, sprayed that again. So my little cotton swabs soaked in alcohol, I'm going to use them to just wipe off any white soap on top of my tiles. As you can see, it happens really easily. And so if there's any drips, I can just polish them up here and it's not a problem. So yeah, I find that's the easiest way just to clean up because it's hard not to spill. Okay, moving to the next one. Just going to pour it into the center here. Fill this up first. Don't forget to spray with alcohol. There we go. Pour up this star in the center. That's looking good. And then I'm just going to go very slowly and carefully around all of these little shapes here. These ones are a little bit easier because they don't have the border like the flower patterns do. Just filling it all the way up. There we go. Oh, poured a little bit too much there, but that's okay. I'll put that back on the double boiler and that can warm up while I'm cleaning up this one here. So again, just rubbing them with my cotton swab dipped in alcohol, and it's really easy just to tidy up any of the white soap that's sitting on top of the mosaic tiles. Okay, I'm just going to turn this around so I can see what I'm doing. Time to pour the next bar. There's these large areas around the side of the tulip. I'm going to start with those and just get as much soap on the surface as I can. Fill in these little sections too. And don't forget around the edge of the border, which can be tricky. That's why I'm just sort of pouring the soap on the border. But like I've showed you before, it'll be easy to clean those tiles up, so I'm not worried. And go give them a good spray. And again, a quick tidy up. There we go. Now for the final bar. Again, I'm just going to pour into the center. Oh, I've just had a huge blob of set soap come out there. Obviously my soap is starting to harden. Oh dear. Okay. This is why I kept the skewer here, so I can move the tiles if need be. I think I'll have to remove that blob after I've finished filling so that the tiles remain in place. Hopefully there's no more big blobs in my soap. Okay, so I'll just quickly go around. Oh, and my little tile has moved again. See how quickly with the skewer I was able to just put that back in place. So it's really not an issue if the tiles move. But I am going to make sure that I pour a bit more carefully and spray plenty of alcohol. Okay, just filling that up there. All right, so with all the drama, I went a little bit overboard. Yeah, the soap is starting to seize up and set. So I'm having a bit of trouble wiping that bit off, but I can also use the skewer because the soap isn't quite set yet. So see how easily I was able to just scrape that off the blue tile. And the blue tile is fully set, so it hasn't damaged the blue tile at all. I'm also going to go for this. This is a little blob that came out from my soap right on top of a tile. There we go. Can't pick that up. There we go. Just get it with my fingers. Alright, so again, I'm just going to tidy these up. And there we have it. So I'm going to let these set overnight and I'll come back tomorrow and demold them for you and see the finished product. So it's the next day and my bars have set solid. Time to take them out of the mold. It's quite easy. This is a really good soap mold. Just sort of stretch it and flex it and they just pop right out. So there's my first geometric one. That's really pretty. Now for my blue flower, my corn flower. Again, comes out really easy. Look at that, gorgeous. And my other geometric shaped one, beautiful. And you know, we had a bit of trouble with that one with blobs and everything, but it turned out all right in the end. And lastly, my beautiful tulip. Here it is. As you can see, we had a bit of bleeding from the dark blue border. I'll make a note of that for next time. I think my soap might have been a bit hot and it just melted it a bit and then the colour bled out. But there we go. These are my beautiful basic melt and pour soap bars. A great way to get started making mosaic soap. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and like and subscribe if you like what we do. Okay, thanks guys, bye.